everyone, welcome back to Level of Detail, brought to you by the University of Staffordshire's Games Institute. I'm Emma Fallows and we're here today with Jaimie Ditchfield and Sharon Coleclough. So, we're venturing into Hyrule to play the new Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom game. And we are quite excited because it's the first time where you can play Princess Zelda herself as the main character. So you can see here, Sharon's taken the reins.
I absolutely have. And I'm just smashing stuff, which is a big part of this game. And Jaimie is nodding and will agree completely with me.
100%.
100%. I'm going to go through.
Absolutely. So just to add to that, remember to get involved with the comments. So do let us know if you have any thoughts, especially on the game itself, and ask any questions that you do have. So let's get going. Let's get playing.
She's thinking.
So you guys obviously do have a little bit of experience here. You have actually started playing it prior to this. So you have a little bit of experience, which is exciting. So with that, Jaimie, so you already had a chance to play. What's your first impression?
I'm absolutely blown away by this game. So, like previously, Zelda is known as a franchise that experiments and will iterate on ideas. So this is kind of a return to form for Zelda. The previous two installments were open world games, so they focus more on open-ended exploration. Whereas Echoes of Wisdom, it kind of takes us back to the series' roots, whilst also introducing new mechanics of its own as you play as Princess Zelda herself, which is yet to be seen in this sort of scale. And as you can see from what Sharon's doing on the screen now, it still retains some of the elements from Tears of the Kingdom, so you can kind of manipulate the environment. There's a lot of that creativity that's been retained from those games as well, so that's really, really cool. I'm absolutely loving it. The amount of interesting puzzle design that you see throughout this game it's incredible.
Oh, I love that. I mean, you've actually touched on this ever so slightly already, but so rather than using a sword or a shield like Link, Zelda has a wand, does she not? So that can summon objects to get through various puzzles. What do you think about that as opposed to the old concept?
Yeah, so one thing that I was worried about before playing the game was that it would play a lot like how Link does. So Link is a really cool character. It's one of my favourite characters in all video games. But Zelda is her own character, and that really shines through with the rods. So you get gifted the rod by the little character Tri, who's on the screen there, just behind Zelda. And yeah, having a different way to interact with the game world, and it makes combat interesting as well. So you can't just run in and engage enemies like Link can. Like you aren't a trained swordswoman in this case. You are more of a you summon things in to kind of give you that edge. Later on in the game, as we may see later on, you can temporarily become in the same style of Link, so you can fight like that. But being able to just look at, if you see an enemy, you can summon them in and then fight that enemy with that enemy. It's just really cool. It's fun to experiment. As you can see now, like Sharon's doing, you've got like different enemies there that you can pull in to help you fight. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's kind of giving you like this fresh perspective, I guess, with the game. Do you think this kind of reinvented perspective is really nice for the game?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. You still are experiencing a Zelda game at the end of the day, which is the main thing. I absolutely love these games, but it just makes it fresh and different. And that's kind of what Zelda fans, including myself, really wanted. And yeah, that definitely shines through in the gameplay. So.
Do you think it still captured the essence?
Yeah, definitely. So as Sharon's demonstrating in a minute, you are going through dungeons, you are exploring, and yeah, you'll find items. As you can see, there's a treasure chest up there, so you can obtain things, and it has that classic Zelda jingle, which is like the most satisfying sound I can think of in games. So.
Absolutely, yeah. It's really interesting actually, seeing like how you're utilising the scene. Here, Sharon. It's actually really cool.
Apparently I've got a spider and I'm going to throw it. But yeah.
So there's a lot of experimentation across these Zelda games generally. So what do you think about the gameplay and the art style of this one?
Yeah, so the art style is really interesting. So it was utilised in a previous instalment on the Switch. If you've played the remake of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, it used this sort of storybook-looking art style. And it fit the theme of that game because it's all about Link's having a dream, he's on a different island, it doesn't follow the conventions of Zelda. So the same studio, Grezzo, they came in helmed this one, and they originally it was going to be a Zelda Maker, it was going to be a Zelda Dungeon Maker, similar to Mario Maker. And he instead went for a different vision, which was pitched to the series producer, R.G. Aonuma, well, director at this point. And yeah, I love the art style because you get this sort of whimsical feel to it, which has been done previously, like I said, in that remake, but it fits the experimental side of the game as well. It kind of blends together really nicely, I'd say.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously your knowledge is second to none. That is without being said, to be fair. So it's clear that you're a big fan. I think that's fair to say. Which means you might be involved in a Zelda community, would you say? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so part of my background, I'm a trained journalist, and for many years I wrote for a website called Zelda Universe, so shout out to them. They'll be very happy that I've mentioned them. They're one of two big Zelda fan sites that exist. You got Zelda Dungeon or Zelda Informer, they like to be called sometimes. They kind of change depending on the platform. But yeah, Zelda Universe was the one I wrote for, so I reported on news stories for Zelda games, and I did a couple of reviews as well. So yeah, I've had a lot of interaction within that community. I wrote for a show that was called Zelda News, and I remember reporting on Tears of the Kingdom, and that got revealed and things like that. So yeah, I've definitely been an active part of that, and that's a big part of my social media presence, is like sharing Zelda content. So
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Representation.
Yeah, I love this franchise, and it's good to like share that online.
Amazing.
So
I mean, I'm not going to torture you any longer. I'm going to let you swap controller.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you can take over
Brilliant.
and enjoy yourself.
Be so happy. I've left you with one half.
oh,
Let's pop
amazing!
you in your
Thank-
natural
look,
environment.
That's absolutely fine.
Look,
Don't
you
you
can
worry.
go to sleep for a little bit and she'll be fine.
Oh yeah, I'm going to summon a bed now.
So did you see my bridge though?
Oh yes.
I was
yeah.
hoping you were like all over that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, where's the bed? There it is.
There,
I'm gonna go to sleep now.
have a little sleep. Get those hearts back
Yeah, there we
that
go.
I've lost for you. I did quite well. I'm glad I had a play of this before because I've not played Zelda before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite nice to at least have an idea about what I'm doing in this game.
Absolutely. So both are absolutely open to whatever you think about this. So what do you think is the secret to the success of the Zelda franchise?
I think it's that mix between it is quite cute. It does give you that kind of optionality. I think playing a hero is always something that people love doing. That's why it's really interesting that we're now playing Zelda as different hero. I'm a bit annoyed that we're sort of chasing after Link. I don't like chasing after the boys, and that's what she's doing a little bit in this. But I do really like the fact, and I don't think this is a spoiler, so Jaimie can nudge me if this is a spoiler, but I don't think it is. You do get a sword, you do start collecting Link's weapons, which as someone who likes kind of that side of combat, I quite like having that optionality and not just kind of casting images.
Yes.
So I think in terms of like the puzzler, it's a scroller. There's lots of things that you can do, and there's lots of side quests. Jaimie's probably actually found the horse.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I abandoned that. They went, the horse has gone west, and I went, and then I went off and did the thing in the desert. So I think that idea that you've got all these optionalities is actually really, really quite nice.
Yeah.
It is very fun playing a character that we've normally not been able to play, though. I think that's kind of a key thing in this one. It's quite nice to kind of do something a little bit different.
Yeah, and just to touch on that as well, with what you mentioned, obviously how you maybe get like the weapons and things like that. There's definitely, correct me if I'm wrong, an essence of like Princess Peach Showtime here, where you've got that element of like playing the other character that you don't usually get to play.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're playing a female lead here, and you're also seeing them in what, so to speak, is quite a badass like environment.
Yeah, I mean she's combat ready. Like you know, and as you get further in, for me it gets more interesting because I just want to hit people with my wand and I can't do that. but I can hit people with my sword and I can shoot them with my bow and arrow that I then collect and as I go along the way. At certain points it would be nice if you could just engage in combat a little bit more.
Yes.
It feels sometimes that we're standing back, and I don't know if that's because our character is a girl, or if it's just to give us that differentiation between Zelda and Link. We can't be exactly the same character and we can't do exactly the same things.
Yeah.
We are masquerading as Link at the moment, in a way, as we travel through the kingdom because we are being hunted by the king.
Oh,
I know. So we have, and there's one of our little encounters with one of the Links that we
Interesting.
find.
So what's happening here then? What are we seeing him for? He doesn't like you.
No. So I don't think this is a spoiler, is it, Jaimie? To just give an overview, there are rifts.
Yeah, so essentially, the reason Zelda is masqueraded like this is she's been basically blamed for these rifts that are appearing across Hyrule. And at the beginning of the game, this is very early on, so this isn't a massive spoiler, Link basically gets taken away by one of these rifts. And one thing that Zelda notices quite early on is that people that go into these rifts come out as like imposters. So like imposter versions appear across the world. So she gets accused of by one of these imposters, who happens to be the King of Hyrule, which is Zelda's father. She basically gets accused of this and is on the run, essentially. And she's trying to figure out what's going on with the help of a little friend, Try, who's given her the ability to summon echoes, which, as you can see here, I've just summoned an enemy, which is going at Link. So I'm going to distract him a little bit here. So if I put one there, he'll focus on him. And then I can go behind Link, pick up a rock maybe, and just launch it. Oh no, he's noticed me. Oh, there we go. Still the damage.
Take that.
And one thing
There's a lot of sneaking around and throwing rocks if you're playing, and it's me.
I do really like that dynamic. I think the kind of way that you're playing here, it's so much variation. Actually, I think it's in its style. There's so many different ways that you could approach, I suppose, this problem, and that's what makes it so interesting.
It is actually, in that way, it is really interesting because you've got, so as you can see, you go through the world collecting, and you defeat and then you collect its echo. So we have this choice of echoes that gets bigger and bigger as we progress through the world and we defeat more of the creatures there. And it's just sort of figuring out how the heck you can use these echoes to defeat other kind of combat situations, to defeat some of the bosses, etc., etc., etc. And it is actually really interesting in terms of the puzzle element, where you're trying to figure out actually not just the puzzles, but how to use the echoes to actually get you through the spaces as well.
Yeah. So on that, what do you think about being able to play as a heroine Zelda, as the main character for the first time?
I think it's about flipping time, isn't it? I would. Well, so I like slightly more violent games than this. I think you know that, Emma. I would like her to be ever so slightly more badass, but maybe she gets more badass as I collect as many hearts as Jaimie has on his other version of this.
This is true.
So he's made a face, so I think she gets more badass as we go through. But I think it's absolutely fabulous because, so as someone who's not played Zelda before, the way we open into this game is Zelda is held captive in a gemstone that, with your help and Link's help, eventually she breaks out of. And it's actually kind of quite poignant because, she is breaking out, and she is, the game is named after her, Zelda. And we finally actually get to play her. Yes, we are running after Link, which, I'd rather not. But we are playing a different character. We have got different kind of expectations on this character as well. There are kind of even just narrative expectations on the character. Yeah. But as we play through the game, we are seeing some quite strong female characters in the game as well. Not just Zelda, but other characters who are chiefs of their land, etc., etc. Which is just really nice to see.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess it's quite common, obviously, for this typical rescue mission, shall we say, of a technically female character. But I suppose they wanted to approach with this game is just basically flipping it on its head, isn't it?
Essentially, yeah. So we've got a female protagonist who is unbelieved by the people in power around her, has to consistently prove herself throughout this game. Over and over again, you have to consistently prove yourself. You're helped quite a lot by Try, but the idea of being able to kind of work your way through these scenarios and these situations as a female character with some of those complex relationships that kind of come with being a female character sometimes. There isn't the assumption immediately that the character can absolutely heal the rift, so we have to prove ourselves. It's actually quite an interesting game if you start looking at it from like a feminist perspective and start thinking, oh, okay, doing different things, maybe playing in a slightly different way. We can't fight, we've just got the sword, we can't fight for long periods of time, but we do still get some of those combat things, and that's actually quite interesting to do as well. I don't know what Jaimie thinks.
Yeah, so like Sharon just said, we just got the sword, so as I'll demonstrate in a moment, you can't use it for long, as Tri will explain in a moment. So it says, like I just said, the name Link is engraved on it, so it is Link's sword. And if I press up on the D-pad here, you'll see a little transformation sequence. Very slow, very dramatic.
I used the word slow.
Yeah. So as you can see, Zelda's got this sort of hybrid form now, where she's got Link's iconic sword and shield, the Hylian shield, and it plays a little jingle. So now I can temporarily transform, and if I whack this, I've got the traditional sort of 2D Zelda controls, and I can recharge that meter throughout the game as well.
That is quite nice, I suppose, to have that familiarity, I guess, and almost revert back a little bit, so you have that essence of what was also being used to, I suppose, they used to being played in that way. I think that's really nice, actually. But yeah, so another one that I wanted to ask you, Sharon, actually, is so you do a lot of work around women in games. Of course, you have mentioned a little bit about your opinions of that with the game.
Well, it would be wrong not to, wouldn't it?
Well, this is it, isn't it? But can you tell us about your new podcast and going to the Women in Game Global Conference?
I can. I get to run a panel at the Global Conference, which is actually quite interesting. Funnily enough, on the power of the podcast. So we're joining lots of dots up. So Women in Game is something that University of Staffordshire is really passionate about. Mm-hmm. We are an education ambassador, and we think it's really, really important that we start thinking about making it a bit more of a level playing field. That doesn't just mean women in games, that means women and their allies. So getting some representation in there, because I don't know about yourself, but I think I've had conversations with my colleagues and other gamers where quite pivotal moments for them were finding a character in a game who spoke to them or represented something about them. And you know, in that way, game is really, really important. But what it also means is a little bit more of a level playing field would be ever so nice, because then we can have more people feeling seen in the game environment. And that's kind of what Women in Game is about. We start with women, we expand outwards. Yeah. So the Women in Game conference, which is actually taking place next week, I don't know when this will be released, but next week, is one where we're talking about the value of play. And the value of kind of bringing together different approaches and different ideas and kind of having a safe space to talk about those. So it's going to be really, really fun. It is on our website for people to kind of have a look and start getting familiar with Women in Game. These conferences and sort of opportunities to hear people speak who are really big in the game industry, like really big in the game industry.
Flexing here.
It's quite a big deal. They come up really quite often, so people can always kind of get on board and anywhere that you might be. They are international. They start at 7, they end at 9 at night. It's a long day.
Oh my God.
So we are international, so it's really important that people kind of participate.
Absolutely. I think that's brilliant.
And I'm going to get you on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, really?
It'd
be rude not to, I suppose.
It would be so rude not to. So the podcast is really about allies and women who are in-game, who are in the industry, in education, whatever it might be, talking about something that they're passionate about. So the latest one is with Molly Swift. She talks about the idea of concept art and coming back to my point about characters who have meant something to us. The Last of Us comes up and we chat quite a lot about that. So that idea of things that we're passionate about. And Emma will be with me on another episode at some point.
Well, that's one way to get me signed up.
Perfect. What do you think I came on here?
Oh, brilliant. So this was all a setup, basically. No.
Yes, it was.
So one of my final kind of questions to you guys then is what's your kind of final thoughts on what you've experienced so far of this game? If you were to sum it up in perhaps one sentence.
Would you like to go first, Sharon?
Oh, one sentence.
Yeah.
Okay. So not familiar with Zelda, but I'm really enjoying the puzzle and I'm really enjoying the fact that you actually do have to think quite hard about some of these puzzles. There's my
I love the
capsule review.
anticipation with that.
Yeah. Get ready.
No, that's brilliant. Well, thank you so much. So yeah, thanks for joining us on our adventure around Hyrule Kingdom. Remember to let us know what your thoughts are in the comments, and if you haven't had enough of Zelda, you can watch our Breath of the Wild episode on our YouTube channel, along with a bunch of other episodes. So with that being said, thanks again to my wonderful guests, Sharon and Jaimie, and we'll see you next time. Bye! Hi everyone, welcome back to Level of Detail. No, hang on. Yes. Hi everyone, welcome back to Level of Detail. I'm not Staffordshire University. I'm not University. Jesus Christ. Hi everyone, welcome back to Level of Detail. Hi everyone, welcome back to Level of Detail, brought to you by the University. Hi everyone, welcome back to Level of Detail, brought to you by the University of Staffordshire's Games Institute. I'm Emma Fallows, and I'm I'm here today with